Well, now we have Phil Edholm back. And Phil is going to do his special segment that he does periodically on the NMRA divisions and local clubs. So, Phil, I don't know who your guest is tonight, but welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. Tonight got Dave Putnam, who actually comes from the Sierra Division, which is in the Northern California up towards the mountains. Huh. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Dave first. And Dave, why don't you start off by telling everybody a little about yourself? I think maybe you had a slide or two you wanted to show. So go ahead and jump there first.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You guys hear me? Great. Okay, I am actually the newly minted superintendent of the Sierra Division, which is part of the Pacific Coast region. Pacific Coast region covers most of Northern California all the way down to the Tehachapis, and then out east into Nevada, state of Nevada, and we also cover Hawaii. So my little division pretty much runs from just about Sacramento to the west, all the way out through Nevada. So big region, a lot of railroad history happened out here, and still a lot happening. We've got the Donner Pass that was designed by Theodore Judah and built by the Big Four back in the 1860s with the encouragement of President Lincoln. And we also have the Western Pacific that runs a little further north up through the Feather River Canyon, which is now owned by, the track is now owned by Union Pacific. So like I say, quite a bit of history here. We've got the California State Railroad Museum in Sacramento, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But Phil wanted me to go over a little bit about what our division does for its members. I'm told by more than a few people that we have a very active division and a very active region. We tend to attend each other's division meetings, tour a lot of layouts. A lot of activity takes place on Zoom. We have the Apticolas out here in our area, and I'm sure many of you have seen John Abdicola's videos, or even starred in some of them. He tends to turn out several a month, it seems like. So I'm going to mention him a little bit later too. Our activities, we have in our division, we have a monthly Zoom meet. It's pretty casual, nothing formal really done. No voting or anything takes place. It's mainly a way to get together and just meet up and talk and show off what we're working on, kind of similar to what you guys do here. And then we have quarterly meets at different points around the division. And we've already planned out all of ours for the year. We're doing our first one coming up in a couple of weeks in Sacramento. And it's going to consist of an op session in the morning at the Sacramento Model Railroad Historical Society layout. Then we're going to have a barbecued lunch there on the patio, weather permitting. It's been a little wet out here, as you probably heard the last month or so. So, but we are starting to see the sunshine a little bit again. So that's a good thing. Of course, we could always use a little more rain because our reservoirs are really dry out here still. Then in the afternoon on the 11th, we're going to migrate over to the State Railroad Museum. We've arranged with the Railroad Museum to have a comp admission day at the museum for any members that are in the Pacific Coast region. All it takes is a send me an email to get in. And if some of you guys that aren't in the Pacific Coast region, but happen to be out in Sacramento in a couple of weeks, if you want to give me a shout, I can definitely put you on the list. I'll put my email address on the chat here in a few minutes, so you can have that. And then we're also going to have our quarterly division meeting a block away in the Stanford Gallery. Those of you that have been to the museum, Stanford Gallery is about a block west. It's part of the annex to the museum, and the museum library is upstairs. There's probably more than a few of you that are familiar with the library. It's a great resource. They've actually got the Kalmbach collection, which they're digitizing and making available online. So I encourage you to visit the California State Railroad Museum website, and if you haven't before, and gain a little more knowledge on that. The museum houses on the third floor the National Model Railroad Association exhibit, which opened up just at the end of the COVID period back in April of 2021. So it's been open about 2 years now, and we've gotten to the point where we've gone in and looked at a few things at the exhibit, and we're going to make some improvements, which will be announced soon. If you haven't made it out and you'd like to come out, it's really worth the trip. Let's see. We try to do on our quarterly meetings, we do in various points around the division. This year, besides Sacramento, we've got plans to meet up in the Reno Carson City area for a full weekend, where we'll have a meeting and tour some layouts in probably Carson City on Saturday and Reno on Sunday. And then in November, our final meeting of the year is going to be down in the Stockton area. So another area that has a lot of railroading history within the state of California. We are always looking for volunteers. Always kind of a tough thing to do, but I think we get a pretty good response from people when we give them enough warning. This weekend, this coming weekend, as a matter of fact, we've got the Great Train Show at the State Fairgrounds called named Cal Expo. It's the name of the fairgrounds. We are having a membership booth at the show. We're going to have members of the Pacific Coast region there to talk to the public, answer questions about what the NMRA is, and hopefully we might be able to recruit some new members out of the weekend. We're just very open to anybody that's interested in model railroading. We've got a special deal going where they can get a 9-month pass to join for half price. So the whole region is really focusing on boosting our membership and finding ways to market it and giving feedback to the national organization, trying to steer them on what they need to do to boost the membership.
So Dave, I think that's a really good point. I mean, one of the conclusions that in the region came to talking about recruiting was that the challenge is getting people to try the NMRA. And so basically at the Central NMRA, they've come up with the concept of a $20 easy on-ramp pass that you can buy. I think it's called the Rail Pass. and basically it's a 9-month membership, and it's really kind of a try it out thing. What we decided was that one of the challenges at a trade show is you tell somebody about, hey, there's this great way to do this, but there's no urgency, there's no call to action. So we decided to create a call to action. We agreed to fund, I think 20 or 25 we agreed to, where we would fund $10 of that $20 from the region. And the logic is that recruiting is so important that it's worth spending that little bit to get somebody on, get them on board, and then try to keep them, versus all the other costs of trying to recruit. So that, I think that's a pretty interesting concept you guys are doing. We'll see how it works.
Yeah. We're definitely trying to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Who knows? By the end of the weekend, we'll know whether this is something that's going to work for us. We might end up offering it later on. We'll just have to see. So finally here in my little spiel, I want to talk about our upcoming convention. So I'm going to share a screen here real quick. Just give me a second to do that. And I'm going to share screen. And shoot. Okay. Help me a little here, Phil, if you can.
Oh, hit down at the bottom right, down at the very bottom right, next to the slider, right next to the slider there. Click that. No, you were there.
Okay.
There,
right
that
there.
one right there. Click that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we have our Pacific Coast Region convention coming up. This year, the Sierra Division is the host division for it. We're having it in Sacramento, again, out near Cal Expo, the state fairgrounds, which is about 10 miles as the crow flies from downtown Sacramento. We are joined with the Feather River Railroad Society. They are co-hosting the convention along with us. Plenty of history going to be talked about at the clinics. We have some cool layouts to go tour, some that have not been seen by the public before. We have some really good clinics, clinicians that are signed up, and we're always looking for more. If any of you guys want to come out to California this spring and see the Golden State looking more like Ireland with all the rain that we've had, be a good chance to do that. We haven't seen that out here for a number of years now. So, and more rain's on the way. So it should be a really beautiful time of the year to come out here. For those that aren't, that are a little geographically challenged, Sacramento is about a little over an hour east of the Bay Area, and wine country is a little to the north. It's also about an hour away from Sacramento, so you might be able to talk your better halves into coming out and doing a little wine tour before or after the convention happens. So the dates are going to be April 26th through the 30th. Again, nice time of the year to visit. It's not going to be overly hot like Sacramento can get in the summer. Should just be really, really pleasant. Might even be pool weather. Feather River Railroad Society is a sponsor, and the Pacific Coast Region. And I go one more here. The hotel is going to be the Cal Expo Courtyard by Marriott. We have a special deal with them. Convention rate of $139 a night, and no charge for parking, which is kind of a rare thing these days. This is the quick reference code for the convention. You can scan that and get to the website. website has all the information available at this time. It's continually being updated as we add more and more clinics, and our layout tours will be listed there, as well as the prototypical tours. One of the ones that might interest people that are into the more modern rail is we're going to have a tour of the Siemens factory here in Sacramento. And that's where they're building a lot of the commuter cars. And I believe they're also, Siemens is also going to be bidding on some of the Amtrak, the newest generation of Amtrak passenger cars. And I believe Siemens is also building locomotives for Amtrak too. Okay, for those of you who aren't able to make it out to Sacramento, we are going to offer several of the clinics in a virtual manner. Our virtual coverage will also include breakout sessions with several of the clinicians during the that are giving their presentations at the convention. Of course, some of the benefits are no travel and hotel expenses, and you can, interact with the clinicians, and I'd recommend you go in and, if you're kind of on the fence about this, when we start getting our clinician list up and posted, and if you see, some people that you'd like to, pick their brains, this would be the chance. We've got a lot of good clinicians out in our area, and we're hoping to have some from outside the area too. The in-person convention attendees will have as I mentioned, the club and home layout tours. Some have never been seen. Clinics and a variety of prototype tours, excursions to as well as other interesting locations. We have a interesting farm equipment museum that's about 10 miles away from to the north of Sacramento in Woodland. This is a good chance to meet some old friends that you might have out here. And we're going to have also have a contest room, and similar to if you've been to NMRA national conventions, photos and models, both buildings and cars and locomotives. And then on Saturday we have a banquet and award ceremony. And also, as I previously mentioned, the California State Railroad Museum is an easy drive or ride away on the light rail that Sacramento has. And on the third floor, you'll find the NMRA's Magic of Scale Model Railroading, where you basically can walk through the whole history of the hobby up to right up to modern times. So that's about it for me. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask.
So Dave, before we kind of drop off of that, so talk a bit about mentoring. So, what things do you all do to help people in terms of learning the skills of model railroading, building, et cetera? Are there things you're doing within the division to try to drive that concept of mentoring and skill building?
Yeah, we do somewhat at our quarterly meetings where people will bring their in-progress projects and talk about them, and suggestions are given. And we also have a very active OpSig and layout design SIG group within the Pacific Coast region. And like I say, it's pretty much one happy region, divided up by our four divisions. And we have actually, something coming up in a couple of weeks in the Bay Area that a lot of us are going to be attending, and it's a weekend where we've got several presenters. There's a panel discussion where people can bring their plans for what they want to build on a layout. For layout wise, I'm hoping to have a rough draft of what I'm going to do on my layout, which is to be built. And it's a lot of really good folks out here to talk to and pick their brains. And I could name off a few names. We have Seth Newman out here, Tony Thompson, Jim Providenza. The list goes on. I mean, it's kind of the who's who of model railroading. So I'm sure you've all seen Mr. Providenza and Mr. Thompson's byline on some publications, and those guys are ready, willing, and able to pitch in and give you suggestions.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation that, we think about mentoring and we often think just about model building, but when you're building a layout and you want to now have something that can operate and be more prototypical, that feedback is really critically important. So yep. As we close, Dave, just, what is there anything that you would say, and you've been in the Sierra Division, I think you moved not that long ago into the area. Is there anything you'd say that, was there any,
go ahead.
Is there anything that you've observed that you'd say, hey, here's something that other divisions really could learn from, that, that the Sierra Division is doing that's unique and very different?
I just think that the main thing that I've noticed, I came from down south, so I was in Pacific Southwest Division, and also I belong to a club down there in Simi Valley, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. Down there, it was a lot more. You are much more isolated in your division. I did attend other division events in the region, but not like up here in Northern California. It just seems like it's a little more open. I mean, not counting Nevada, things seem to be a little closer here. We have Redwood Division up in the northern part of the state, Coast Division, and then Sierra Division, which is kind of the second half of California to the east, and then Daylight Division, which goes all the way down to Bakersfield, includes Fresno and Stockton and Lodi. So it just seems like, to me, it just seems a lot more open. And admittedly, I wasn't really a really active member in NMRA when I lived down there, but I did take advantage of some of the things that were offered. But it just seems like up here, there's just a little different attitude as far as mentoring and people making themselves available, and just good friendships. And that's one of the things that we've kind of discussed with our membership program, is to make it a more inviting thing, because a lot of it has to do with the social aspects of things.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think probably based on the time, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Dave, thank you for taking the time and coming to see us this evening.
Thanks
and
for
with
having
that,
me.
we will throw it back to you, Jim.